Hey, what's up, everyone? I know it's actually been a long time since we last created a video, and I am really sorry and I apologize for all that. So, it's me again, Prince Dynamic, and I'm here with another YouTube tutorial. This time around, I have a lot of content to drop for you guys, and I really look forward to helping you learn to become a better designer. So please, we know the drill. If you are new to this channel, please go ahead and click on the subscribe button. Kindly subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to share too. Don't be selfish, so don't forget to share. So what we'll be doing today basically is that I'm going to be teaching you how shadow and highlights can enhance your design and make it much more better. Yeah, so basically how shadows and highlights can make your videos much more better. That is what we'll be doing today. So before we go straight into what we'll be doing today, I want to introduce you to the Design Academy. So the Design Academy, we currently have a course on graphics design. I don't want to talk much about it. We have a course on graphics design, and this course is really going to help you. The course comes handy, and trust me, it is something you should enroll for, because in this course you're going to learn brand identity design, you're going to learn creative designs, you will learn right from the scratch. So even if you don't have idea of if you don't have basic idea of designing, in this particular course you're going to learn everything from start to finish. You learn how to create good brand identities, you learn the principles of creating creative designs. Trust me, you're really going to learn a lot. You're going to learn print designs and more. So you should probably check it out today. So I'm going to leave a link in the description. You can use the coupon code to get up to 50% off the original price. So that's what I'm going to do for you. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into today's tutorial. So I have two images here. As you can see, I have one and I have the other one. So these are the two images that I have, and in this we are just going to be using we're going to use this two image to illustrate what I am talking about. So the first thing I want to do is to create a new workspace. Let's leave it at 11 by 11 inches. You know how we always do it. So I think we should crop it. Let's crop it to Instagram size. Yeah, this is Instagram size. So that is 4:5. That is 8 by 10, 4:5. So that's just the size basically. So let's go ahead and crop it. So now we're bringing this image. All of these things is not part of it, because highlighting just has to do with highlighting, and shadow just have to do with light, just light and light direction. So that is what I'm trying to do. So let me bring in the image of this man as well. Let me bring in the image of this man as well. So these are the two images that I'll be using. So first of all, I want to go ahead and increase the size of this land. Yeah, let me increase the size. I want it to be somewhere here, yes, because I want to place the man on it, and I want him to stand somewhere here. Yeah, I think this size looks cool. Let's just scale it up so we can see properly. This size looks cool. We're going to do a little bit of creative design here. We're going to apply some of our principles of designs and all of this things. So before doing all of that, let me go ahead and create the background. So the background, I want it to be blue, to be like this teal blue. I don't know if it is actually the color, but yeah, I just want to mimic the sky. So let me fill the background up with a solid color. Let me fill it up with solid color. Yeah, this color is fine, works fine for me. Or I can just bring it to somewhere around here. And okay, so I can toggle home these people. Yes, so it's beginning to look more like it. There are some inconsistencies in this image which I like to take out. Let me just take them out. Yeah, so let me just take it out. So yeah, that's it basically. So we're just going to make this image. We're going to be applying the highlighting and shadowing on this image, but before I do that, let me do some other things just to make this image much more perfect. So what I want to do is I want to hide this man layer. I want to be left with this. So I'm zooming in, as you can see. So I'm going to like to add a kind of blur to the background. Or let me just focus on what we're here to do, so I don't get too confused here at any point. So let's zoom into this image. Let's make it blend with. All right. So in order to make. All right. So let's just zoom in and make this very perfect. Yes, might not be completely perfect because I'm just trying to rush things and just for us to at least get something. Because what we want to do basically is highlights and shadows. So it has nothing to do with all of this one we are doing. I expected that when you are designing, you ought to have made all of this very perfect from your end, but we are just making it perfect. So at the end of the day, the old design will look like a flop. I guess we understand that. Yeah. So let's just run through. Make selection 1.5. Yeah, that's good. Then delete Control D. Yeah, to deselect. So let's zoom out again and zoom in. Let's see how it looks like. So let's create shadows under his feet. Let's just create new shadows under his feet. Coming. I'm going to do that just now. Alright, so let's create new layer. We select our brush tool, then select black color, background, reduce the size. Let's just reduce the size. Yeah, one stamp is good. So, you know the drill. Let's zoom out. Let's zoom out so that we can see clearly. Yes. Control T to transform. Sorry, I'm using shortcuts, but I feel at this point you should be able to use shortcuts in your design as well. And if you're not familiar with shortcuts, you can check out my designs where I talked about using where I use shortcuts. So you can always learn all of these things. You can see that it's beginning to make more sense, but there's still more we can do to this. So for instance, let us select this image by this layer by holding the control button and selecting the layer. So you can see this matching hands. Let's go over to select, then modify. All of this has nothing to do with the what we want to do today, but I just love perfection. Yeah, I just want the entire image to be perfect at least. So that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. So let me just contract. Sorry, I'm not trying to expand. I'm supposed to contract, modify, then contract by 1. Yeah, let's contract by 1. That's cool. By 1, yes. Back again to modify. Then we can feather by 1.5. I always love to do my feather at 1.5. Then I'll mask it out again. So now it is much more better. On top of it, I'm going to add a new layer and create a clipping mask so I can just brush off this part. This part, so it can be very dark. Yes, exactly. So I'm going to do the same here. All right. So let me not dwell on this. Let me not dwell on this. Let us just assume that all of this has been made. So now let's talk about the highlighting and the shadow in itself. For this kind of image, some of us might want to say that this image is perfect. Yes, it is good. But one thing I always say is shadows and highlights gives even a deeper dimension to our images and our design generally. It makes it even much more better. So now the first thing I want to do is to add a light behind this man just to distinguish, just to separate him from the background because it's kind of blended into the background. So I'm going to do that by adding an empty layer on top of this solid, which is the one we used to mimic the sky. I'm going to go ahead and sample the background color. This is the background color. Then I'm going to pick a lighter shade of it. Yeah. So I'm going to pick my brush, increase my brush size, and just create a stamp around him. Yeah, you can see how it is. So you can position it anywhere. It doesn't have to necessarily be behind him. Yeah, you can position it anywhere. I always love to keep it close to the subject so it can have this kind of. Now let us look at it. You can see that it is much more better now. This is much more better now. So let's zoom in. This is the before, this is the after. So you can see it's making much more sense. Now let us examine this image. Let us examine this image. Look at the way the image was shot. You can tell that the light was coming from this side. The light was coming from the right hand side. So we are going to do that. Let us go ahead and add a kind of light source. So I always like to use this light source FFCC00. I always use it to mimic the sun. So I'm just going to stamp once. Then I'm going to change the blend mode to let's do screen. Let's do screen. Let's increase the size. Yeah, let's increase the size. So let us assume that this is our light source directly on in from this angle, 45-degree angle on the subject itself. So now we need to add the lights to these edges. We need to light up these parts of our subject. We need to light up this part of our subject. But also, if we look at this properly, we can say that to an extent, this image has been edited because it was actually a professionally shot image. You can see from the trouser that we have lights coming from this side, and from this part, you can tell that we have lights coming from this side as well. So these are dark parts. These are the dark parts. So let's just follow what we have here. This is that's to show that this is not quite the best image for us to use. But before I do that, let me sharpen this image a little bit. Just want to sharpen the image a little bit. Yeah, I'm actually using two screens, so let me just drag this here. I'm going over to details. I don't want to do much sharpening it, and I'm reducing the noise reduction. Yeah, so yeah, this is cool. So this is much more better. You can see that it is clearer than the way it was before. All right, so let's go ahead and create our highlights. So now, looking at the way it is, we have kind of the blue sky and stuff like that. So that means the color, the highlight, which is the bright part, we should use the sky color, which is blue. And for the dark part, shadows is always dark. So we know the drill. So let's just sample this color. Let's sample this color. Now we're going to create another empty, what is this? Okay, let us merge this since that is the part of the shoe that we worked on. So now we're going to create a new layer and we are going to name it highlights. Highlights. So we're going to convert it to a clipping mask such that whatever we apply would only be applied on the layer below, which is this man. So let us name this as subject. It's only going to be applied on the subject. So let's zoom in, select our brush tool, reduce our brush size. I'm currently working with my mouse and not with my graphics tab. So this is to show you that even if you're working with mouse, you can still get the best from your image if you go about it the right way. So now we sampled this color. We sampled this color, but we need to make it darker. Now bring it to this, somewhere around there is cool. So now what we're going to do is select the highlights layer, go over to the opacity, reduce our opacity to somewhere around 50. Reduce our opacity to somewhere around 50. Then our flow should be somewhere around 10. We don't need it to be too much. So because of what we want to do, we are not trying to paint the entire image. So let's reduce our brush size. Now we can just brush on these parts where we feel they should be light. We'll just brush on those parts. So what we're going to do according to this image now, we're going to kind of manipulate all of this part that is kind of bright. We'll darken it because we want it to have more like a single light source. That means from the right hand side. We want the lights to come from the right hand side. So zoom in, and so let us just brush. Let us just go ahead and brush. All right, so let's just go ahead and brush. You can see that as I'm brushing it, it's looking like it is darker. Now, some of you might be thinking that why did we go for a dark tint of the color? So we're going to discover that soon. Let's just keep brushing. So let's brush on the edge. Let's brush on the edge. Let's take it down to its trouser. Yeah, let us do this. So, yeah. So that's the parts we are going to highlight. Let's see if there are other parts that we can highlight as well. Yes, we can do the same for these parts, all of these bright parts on a shirt. Let's just do it on this bright part of the shirt as well. Not everywhere actually, so but just these bright parts as you can see. So let's just do that. What other parts again? Let's see. What other parts? All right, so since this is just a quick tutorial, we're just going to leave it this way. We're going to leave it this way. So what we're going to do now is very simple. We're going to duplicate this layer, Control J. We're going to also convert it to a clipping mask, but this time around, we are not going to leave the blend mode at normal. We'll change the blend mode to linear dodge. Linear dodge. We'll do the same for the layer below. Linear dodge. Now you can see it might not really look like it because of the background we are using, but if we toggle this off now, you can see that those light source just disappear, like the light reflection on his face just disappeared. But if you toggle it on again, you can see the lights. All right, we're going to take it a step further. That's when we had the shadows. So we can add the shadow just the same way, but this time around, instead of doing it this way, what we're going to do is we're going to add exposure layer. So this exposure layer now, this is what we're going to do to the exposure layer. We're going to reduce the exposure to somewhere around here, not too dark. Then would invert it and also convert it to a clipping mask. Yeah, we'll convert to a clipping mask. So we'll zoom in, select our brush tool once again, and just brush. We'll just brush on the parts that we want to be dark. So ensure that since we've inverted this layer by pressing Ctrl I, the foreground color must be changed to white. It must be the complete opposite, or else it would not work. It must be white. So if you have white here, this place has to be black, and if you have black here, this place has to be white. This might be a little bit confusing for those of us that are new to designs, so I advise that you just go through my previous videos. So let's just brush. Let's just brush. So we are trying to add shadows. We can do the same here on his face. Let's add more shadows on his face because we are really trying to hide quite a lot of things. We are trying to manipulate the light that has already been made on this. So it might want to be a little bit difficult for us. So, but let's just go ahead and try our best. So you can see I'm darkening all of these parts. I'm darkening all of these parts. Same here over to his shoulder, his trouser, sorry. Trouser, you can see I'm making it darker. I'm making it darker. Yeah, this part too should be darker. This part should be darker. So as you can see now. Now let us look at everything together. If we decide to toggle off all of this layer, you can see how the image looks like, just so flat. But now when we toggle it on, it even makes much more sense, even with the shadow. Now look at the shadow. Let me do, this is the before, this is the after, before and after, before and after. So same thing, we can do the same thing. Now for the background, now since we've worked on this and it is looking very perfect, we need to implement the same thing on the background. We need to make this part, the left hand side of the background, we need to make it dark. So let's go over to the background. We're going to add exposure again. We're going to reduce the exposure to somewhere here. Yes, we're going to invert it, Control I, and yeah, I don't think we need to do a clipping mask since we only have the background. I'm going to go over to this part, the bucket fill tool. I'm going to invert and pick the gradient tool. So the gradient tool is what we're going to use. So we're just going to do something like this. So let's just pull it to this part. Yes, like this. Now we can go ahead and reduce the opacity. Yes, we can brighten the other side. We can do that by we can brighten the right hand side. Since that is the light source. Okay, let's move this up because we need to apply it on these trees too. Yes, let's move this up and do it somewhere here. So now let's create another layer, but this time around brightness layer. We're going to increase the brightness. Yes, and we're also going to invert and this time around we are going this way just to brighten it so we can have proper understanding. Now look at what we have just done. Look at what we have just done. So I'm going to go ahead and merge everything together. Ctrl G, then I'm going to merge. So this is our after. So now let's look at the difference between this and the way it was before. Let's take out all of these highlights, all of these things we did. Let's take them out. Let's take them out. Let me you can see how this looks like. Let me match that too. So this is more like mid. Let me name this as mid because we did a lot to reach before we got to this point that we are. So this is the mid, this is the after, which is the final result. So now before we go to this mid, let me also toggle it off and take out all of those things that we did to enhance it, such as the lights and all. So let's take out this. Let's take out this light too. So now look at how it looks like. Look how it looks like. Let's merge this. So we can now name this before. So now let's take a look at these three things together. This is the before. This is the mid where we added lights, and this is where we did the shadows and highlights. You can see that it even made the image much more better. Now we can take this further by just adding a little bit of camera raw. So let me put final results, and we're going to compare all. We're going to compare all. So let me go over to my filter, camera raw filter, and just do a little bit of magic on this. So I'm okay with the way everything looks like. I'm okay with the way everything looks like. I can push the shadow up a little bit, which I don't want to, since I already did all of that myself. I push the clarity a little bit, the vibrance to somewhere around 11. Then our details, let's just sharpen it a little bit more. Yeah, then over to the color grade. The color grade is the part I actually love the most. So for the hue, the blue hue, I want it to look like teal, even much more teal. Yes, something like this. Then increase the saturation a little bit. Yeah, over to the hue again. The green, I want the greens to be something like this. Is this cool? Oh, is this cool? Is this cool? Let's just say something like this is cool. Yeah, push it up. Yeah, let's push it up. Let's increase the reds, increase the purples, increase the magentas. Yeah, so that will be all. Effects, then we can just add a little bit of vignetting if we want to. A little bit of vignetting -6. Add greens, a little bit of that too, and that is all. So now let's take a look at everything. Let's take a look at everything. This is the before. This is the mid, where we added lights to the backgrounds, and after, where we added light source and we play a little bit with shadow and highlight, and the final result. So you can see, guys, that shadow and highlights always give our image a special feeling. Like it gives us this special dimension. It makes the dimension even much more deeper. So we've come to the end of this tutorial. I've come to the end of this tutorial. So thank you guys for staying up to this time, and thank you for watching this YouTube tutorial. I really do appreciate. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and also don't forget to share. I also have a good news for us. I've decided that we're going to be releasing videos twice in a week. That's going to be twice in a week. So we're going to be releasing videos every Wednesday like this, and every Saturday. But one special thing about the Saturday edition is it's going to be a video request. So I'm going to put the poll. I'm going to run a poll on my Instagram account where I'd ask you to suggest the next video you'd like us to suggest the next video you'd like me to do a tutorial on. You can do that. You can suggest in my YouTube, you can suggest my YouTube comments, you can suggest any of my platform, just suggest. So I'm going to compile everything together every week, then I'll just pick out one randomly, which is going to be the tutorial for the weekend. So thank you very much for staying up to this time. See you in my next video lesson. Peace out.